Please welcome Emily Mack.
Just said I sounded way more important than I actually am. That was really nice. Okay. I also like to tell everyone that I started when I was like 12. That's how I have over 25 years of experience in wellness. But I'm really excited to be here. I do love the outdoors, and I came from Ohio. So your weather right now and this beautiful view that we have is just incredible. We don't have this in Ohio, unfortunately. I'm just going to cover some basic information. I was told that feedback from previous events were that you guys wanted wellness content, so that's what I'm here to do. I was also told that I should keep this interactive, so we do have some trivia throughout. So we're going to have that, and then at the end we actually will have some movement for you guys to do. So I'm going to talk about why you should focus on wellness, because it's one thing for me to say, like, yes, you should do all of this, but why is that important? We're going to talk about some tips for healthy aging, how to set SMART goals, and then obviously get you guys up and moving a little bit. So with wellness, my theory is really, truly, wellness is here so that it can help you have the energy to engage in life. It's all about your quality of life, right? You want to not only get to the point where you can retire, but you want to enjoy retirement. So part of that is making sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I think when you're in the working world, you get caught up, you heard that I have 5 children, you get caught up in not only work, but also what your family needs, and sometimes your self-care kind of gets shoved to the side. And I'm here to tell you that in retirement, please embrace the fact that your self-care should be your #1 priority. You are here to take care of yourself. You have provided for everybody else, and it's time for you to really shift that focus onto you. But wellness is not just about the physical. Obviously, the physical is really, really important. It's like the groundwork for what we need so that then you can do the rest of the work. So the physical is not just fitness or exercising and movement. It's also the nutrition that you're putting into your body, and it's also a lot about your rest and renewal. I always tell people that you have to think about when you're really, really tired, do you make really good choices about your well-being? So if I'm really, really tired and I've had a rough day, am I going to spend the time to get that healthy meal, or am I going to do something really quick on the side? Or am I going to decide, I'm way too tired today, I'm not going to go out and walk my dogs? It's okay to do that if your body is telling you that you need some rest, but really think about what kind of energy you have to give to the things that you want to do to keep yourself healthy. Another part of that is the emotional part of it. So really, to function at your best, we want to try to be optimistic, and you want to have confidence, and you want to feel that you're sufficiently challenged. So again, if you're really bored, or you're not getting engaged in new activities or trying different hobbies, or really kind of intellectually stimulating yourself, that's going to also impact your well-being. And that goes right into the mental. That you're prioritizing your attention, and you're organizing your life around the things that really matter to you. Brain health is really popular. I was just watching, what was I watching in my hotel room last night? I was watching Wheel of Fortune, because it's like a tradition in our house that we watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. But they have the Prevagen commercials, and I'm not here to promote that or anything, but it's on all the time. We're always talking about your brain health, your cognitive health. We have to keep ourselves stimulated. And again, retirement is that time for you guys to really embrace the idea of getting involved in something that you have some passion and excitement behind. Spiritual wellness, this is, again, trying to be passionate and really finding something that you can practice with some kind of commitment, and that you have integrity and honesty about how you're approaching that. And it can be just about anything that you're doing. And then financial wellness, obviously, as the previous speaker was talking about, you want to be financially sound so that you have the ability to make those choices and to not be stressed about the financial part of what makes your goals a reality. So how do we do this? So we have different tips on here I'm going to go through. The first is, making sure that you're eating a healthy, balanced diet. Obviously, everyone's probably heard this before. I always tell people we always know what we're supposed to do. It's just putting it into practice. So I'm not here to preach to you and tell you this is exactly how you want to do it, but there's just some simple things that you can try to work into your everyday behaviors. So making sure that you're getting that variety of fruits and vegetables. Really looking at your plate and saying, okay, half of my plate should have colorful treats like that on it. And I'm going to call them treats because that's what they are. Having different kinds of fruits that you try, different kinds of vegetables, really eating the rainbow is what that's all about. And then choosing healthy or mostly whole grains. So you're not looking at the refined sugars, the white breads, that kind of thing. You really want to have something that has more substance to it. Choosing, low-fat or fat-free dairy options. There's all kinds of options out there in terms of milk or dairy alternatives. I have a child that is lactose intolerant, so I think we've tried every single one of them. I would highly recommend trying different things. Who knew that I would love almond milk as much as I do, but I do. Making sure that you're opting for foods that are lower in sugar. Really the big thing, I just skipped over protein, but I'll come back to that, but the big thing with this is, I always try to tell people, is usually we get this a lot in the things that we drink, believe it or not. I used to do a lot of on-site health assessments for people, and we would have people come in with really high numbers in their A1C for diabetes, and when you start talking to them, some of these people were drinking, they would, instead of taking water to work, they were taking a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew to work. Just here to tell you, that's not a good option. Long term, it has a bad impact. So just looking at that kind of thing, making sure that you're not adding a lot of salt. I know sometimes, especially as we age, I think our taste buds change a lot. I know even just thinking in terms of the types of food I eat now versus what I ate when I was little. I mean, my dad would put, Brussels sprouts on our plate and force us to eat them, and now I'm like, can't get enough of them. So your taste buds obviously change as you age, and you just experiment with different spices. It doesn't always have to be salt that gives you the flavor. Going back to the protein one, just having a variety. Those lean meats, fish, protein alternatives. I do feel like someone coming to you from Ohio versus people living out in California, you guys are just better in general, I think, with the types of foods that you eat. In the Midwest, we love our comfort foods. So I think, trying to follow that more California diet is going to be a good option for you. And then making sure you have high fiber foods. This is just really important for so many reasons, and you can get that with fresh or dried fruit, with nuts, beans, legumes, all kinds of things can add that to it. So it's one thing for me to stand up here and say, these are all the things you should do, and it's another thing to say, well, how do I do that and stay on a budget? Because I think all of us are on a budget, right? So there's some things that you can do and put into practice in terms of how you make these good choices. So, planning ahead and creating a weekly meal plan. Planning ahead and making a meal that not only has today's dinner, but maybe you can tweak it a little bit. It becomes, tomorrow's lunch or something a little bit different the next day. Making a grocery list. Eat before you go to the grocery. I am really bad at this one myself. And I have a 16-year-old that is really good at being like, we totally need this, and throwing things in the cart that we definitely don't need. But when you're hungry and you're shopping, just think about how everything looks so good. And typically, when you get closer to the register, the choices are less and less healthy, but they're banking on the fact that you are going to go up there and be like, oh my gosh, I totally need those Oreos. Like, those would be so good. My coworker and I were just talking about Oreos this morning. But, and I'm not saying that you can't have something that isn't necessarily the healthiest option. My theory is always, I'm not a dietitian, but my theory is always everything in moderation. I'm a firm believer that if you tell yourself you absolutely can't have something, that's what you want. I mean, that's how I am. If I would say I'm not going to eat chocolate ever again, probably wouldn't want to be around me because I love it. But just having a good variety. And then also shop your pantry or your cabinets first. It's amazing what we actually just have on hand that we never use. My husband calls it that we're eating down our freezer, because we'll tend to like collect things in there, and then you sort of, or he'll be like, we're having freezer treats tonight, and it's like you pull out all these different containers and you don't even know what they are until you kind of open them up. And we have a lot of weird traditions in our house, but it's a really good thing to do, is to look and see what you actually have on hand, and then you might just be missing like 1 or 2 ingredients to really make something out of what you have. Making sure you're buying a variety of like fresh, frozen, or shelf-stable items. So again, you have things on hand that you can use. Shopping produce that's in season. If you're trying to buy something that's out of season, I guarantee you it's going to cost a lot more. If you didn't know this about grocery stores, the things that are in season and they have a lot of are going to be right in the front of the produce section. So when you first walk in, that's usually where those fresh things are, and then the further you get back into the store, the more unique or specialized item may be. Checking store flyers, making sure you join loyalty programs. I know it seems kind of crazy, and he was talking about smartphones earlier, and there's all these different things that you can do, but you can save a lot of money, because a lot of times those stores are bumping prices up on things with the hopes that you have their loyalty program, or hopes that you don't. So you'll pay that higher price and not get the deal. But yeah, so I mean, those are just some simple things that you can do, and a lot of it, again, is very common sense. It's just kind of nice to get reminded. So here's our first wellness trivia, because I don't want anyone to fall asleep on me. But which macronutrient is essential for maintaining muscle mass and strength? Is it A, carbohydrates, B, fats, C, protein, or D, fiber? It is C, protein. And I should also give the caveat that, again, I do this with my own family. We are going for pride, not prize in these, but keep going, because you're doing a great job. So, as we age, our bodies really do go through a decrease in our muscle mass and our strength, and protein is really that essential building block. It helps repair those tissues, including our muscles, but it's really an important fuel to make sure that you maintain that muscle mass. So is exercise, just FYI. Which is why we go into exercise. So as I was saying, I am a firm believer that movement is essential for your overall well-being. Obviously, I'm an exercise physiologist by training, so I truly believe in exercise. I think you heard in my bio that I like to run and walk. I was just telling my coworker that I don't know that it's the smartest thing I did, but I am about to approach a milestone birthday, so I decided to sign myself up for a marathon, so I'm running a lot right now. But I don't necessarily recommend that, but I do recommend that you try to find something that you actually enjoy. I've worked with a lot of people where they're very passionate about one kind of thing, and so they think that's the only form of exercise, and I'm just here to tell you there are so many different things that you can do. Even getting outside in gardens and doing yard work, that's considered exercise and movement. Going for a walk, enjoying beautiful views like this is kind of a great opportunity for you to be out there. We do things in our kitchen, which I was saying, you're really glad I'm not a dance instructor, but in my kitchen I am amazing at dancing while we're cooking. So dance is one of those things that it's an incredible chance to get moving, and you're having such a great time that most of the time you don't realize how much activity and exercise you're getting from it. Doing just basic things I said around the house, making sure you're doing things to maintain balance. Obviously, balance is really key to being able to keep moving, right? If you're worried about falling all the time, you're going to be a lot more concerned about the way that you move and the things that you do. And then making sure that you're asking for your family and friends to get involved. It's a lot easier to be motivated to go out and do something when somebody else is holding you accountable to do it. I know a lot of the programs that are here today with the vendors have fitness programs with them where you can have access into gyms. They may be offering on-demand classes, different things you can do in your own home. So make sure you check that out. If you guys have benefits, make sure you really use them. Next trivia is, how many minutes per week of moderate intensity aerobic activity is recommended for adults? right. It is C. So when we talk about what does moderate intensity aerobic activity mean, it's really anything that's going to get your heart beating faster. It's also a good way for you to know if you're doing moderate versus like an intense kind of activity is, I call it the talk test. If you can have a conversation with the person next to you, say while you're walking, and you're kind of breathing heavy, but you can still hold the conversation, then you're probably in that moderate intensity. If you have no problem controlling your breath, you probably need to move a little bit faster. And if you can't talk to the person next to you, it probably means you need to slow down just a little bit. So, but it's an easy way to kind of check where you are in terms of what you're doing. So staying connected, social connection with your family and friends can really help improve mood. It can reduce negative thoughts that you might have, helps you stay motivated with your healthy choices. Just looking for opportunities to stay involved in your community, ways to stay involved with family and friends. For those of you who like to go online, there's online groups that you can join, different kinds of support groups. It may be in your place of worship that you can have a group together. If there's a hobby you're interested in, there's a group, I'm sure, for almost everything. I have 2 kids that are in college right now, and the amount of activities that are available in clubs is kind of astronomical. Like, we'll go to these campuses and they'll say there's like 150 different clubs your kids can join. It's pretty much like that out in the real world too. You just have to be willing to kind of look for it. But it's really important to have that social connection. Social isolation can have a real negative impact on how you can basically function in the world and how you feel about yourself and what you will get yourself engaged in. So that social connection is really important. Coming to events like this is a social connection. I saw a lot of you guys coming together who hadn't seen each other in a while, or you're meeting new people. It's just a great opportunity to get out and to meet people that have similar backgrounds or similar experiences to you. And maybe even learn about something you didn't know. So, true or false? Sharing a meal with friends and family can increase food enjoyment and promote healthier eating. That was like A+. I still love through food, which probably is a downfall for some of my friends and family because I love to cook, and I think I spend so much time cooking sometimes I don't even want to eat what I've just cooked, but I really do show love through food. But I think the community that provides and the opportunity for connection, our family has a tradition that even with all the people that we have in it, we try to have family dinners as much as possible because that's our opportunity to kind of reset, connect back with each other, see how things are going, figure out what we need to work on, what we need to celebrate, that kind of thing. But it truly is something that will help promote healthier eating because you have to think about it more. If you're having a meal by yourself, it's easy to just grab something small or that's already been, pre-made meal or processed or whatever. When you're sitting down with other people, you tend to maybe a little more effort, I guess, with what you're cooking or with the experience you're having. So prioritizing mental health. This is adding in small acts of self-care can have that big impact. So obviously there's a lot of stuff on here that we've already talked about, but believe it or not, exercise is positive for your mental health. It can really help you kind of either work off some issues that you might be going through. It can help clear your mind. Part of the reason I like to run is because I say it's the one time during the whole day or whenever I'm doing it that no one can ask me for anything. Because I'm out there by myself. And it's up to me. I can listen to music, I can listen to nature, I can listen to a book, I can, whatever it is. I mean, think about COVID when we were all shut down, right? I don't know if I can even tell you how many walks or different things I did outside just to not be stuck in a house with that many people all the time. But it's true, like, it's an opportunity to clear your mind a little bit and to kind of reset. Making sure you're eating a balanced diet and staying hydrated. The hydration part of this, I can't emphasize enough. Really, you have to be hydrated to keep yourself healthy. It helps lubricate your body. It helps all of your systems run smoothly. It's just a really important thing to stay hydrated. And again, hydration comes in all different forms. And coffee, yes, is a liquid. And it can be used for a little bit of hydration, but it's also a diuretic, so it's actually going to dehydrate you more. So just make sure that, and I say that because my mother-in-law would include coffee as her water for the day, and I was like, no, like 3 cups of coffee is actually not helping you right now, so we need to get some water in there. But making good choices like that, making sure you have that really good quality sleep, finding time to relax and not be on the go. All right, true or false? Diet plays a role in your social, emotional, and mental health. You guys are top of the class here. So I'm going to read this verbatim because that's good, but it's well established that diet plays a fundamental role in health and well-being. But as time goes on, we're learning how diet plays a role in your social, emotional, and mental health specifically. There's actually an emerging field that's called nutritional psychiatry, and it emphasizes how the diet and nutrition affects people and how they feel mentally. So again, it's not only that food is fueling your body, the food that you're putting in is also fueling your brain. And I'm going to throw another trivia question out there. Which of those macronutrients that we talked about earlier was carbohydrates, protein, fiber, and God, what else did I talk about? I'm like losing my train of thought here. Which one of those is important for your brain? Like, what does your brain need to fuel it? Yeah. That would be carbohydrates, fat, protein, or fiber. Believe it or not, it's carbohydrates. It also needs fat, but I don't know if you guys remember or not, but it was a while back now. It was like this was probably in the early 90s. Does everybody remember the fat-free diet? Like, everyone was going fat-free, so you would eat everything that was high in carbohydrates. I remember it because we thought eating pasta every day for dinner and having pretzels was a really healthy choice because it was fat-free. So it's good for your brain, but you still need to have that balanced diet of carbohydrates, fats, proteins, fiber, making sure you're getting those good fruits and vegetables. So again, we're going to go back to sleep because I can't emphasize enough how important sleep is to your overall health and wellness. There is a recommendation of at least 7 hours of sleep or more per night. That's going to help improve your brain function, reduce the risk for disease, and then positively impact your emotional well-being and optimize those daily activities and your safety. And why I put in there the safety part is because, again, think about when you're tired and you're even just walking around your house and trying to do things, you tend to maybe trip up a little bit more or not pay attention to what you're doing, and you can make mistakes. So just making sure that you take some steps to make sure that you have good quality sleep. So if you're someone who likes to be on your smartphone at night, turning it off 30 minutes to 60 minutes before you go to bed so that you're not staring at that screen, because that's going to actually stimulate you more than relax you. Making sure you have kind of a nighttime routine. I mean, we still do this with my kids and they're older. It's like having a routine and knowing, okay, I have to do this, and then I'm going to brush my teeth and do this, and then someone might like to read right before they go to bed, or they want to just sit and relax before they go to bed, or whatever it is, but having a routine that you follow. It's the same thing we had to do when you first have your kids and you're trying to get them on some kind of routine. We all need routines too, so sticking with that. Making sure that you're comfortable. So space that you sleep in should feel relaxing and soft and welcoming, or whatever it is that you need to feel comfortable and sleep. Avoiding caffeine after lunchtime. Now, I know there's some people who can drink caffeine all day long and it doesn't affect them, but I'm not that type of person, so I know that at a certain time during the day I should not have any more caffeine. And then if you can't sleep, like, what else can you possibly do? I think the biggest thing with that is if you're really struggling with sleep, the best thing you can kind of do is maybe just get up and change what you're doing. I kind of liken this to, say you've had a bad dream, and you're kind of like, you just want to get out of it. I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but you're having a dream and you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just was dreaming that. I'll get up, get a glass of water, kind of clear my head, and then I can go back to sleep. It's the same thing here. If you're really struggling, don't sit there and fester on the fact that I can't sleep. Get up, change where you are, maybe get a glass of water, maybe decide to listen to or read a book, listen to some music, do some deep breathing exercises, do something to change it a little bit, and then it'll kind of help calm your body back down. If you really can't sleep and you're still having sleep habit issues, make sure you talk to your providers about it. That's why they're there for you, and they can help you work through that. So, true or false, laughter can promote positive long-term health effects. Yay. This is definitely true. Laughter is not only a quick pick-me-up, but it's good for your overall long-term health. It actually improves your immune system, it can help relieve pain, it can increase your personal satisfaction, and improve your mood. Laughter is medicine, basically. Even with our program, we have a class that we offer. It's called Laugh with Soul, and it's basically a combination of yoga and laughter therapy. And the members who do it, our retirees that do it, love it because it's just sort of another one of those departures from the everyday average class you might take for exercise, and you don't realize how much you're getting out of it while you're doing it. So laughter is definitely important. And I'm going to take you back to hydration because I can't say it enough how important this is, but you don't want to risk being dehydrated. Your hydration is going to have a big impact on your ability to do other things throughout the day. So just make sure that you're setting specific times to drink if you're not someone who drinks regularly. If you look at my kids' age right now and younger, it's like everybody has those huge water bottles they carry around. That's just their norm. We didn't have that growing up. We were told to carry around water with us everywhere. So just making sure that you have that available to you. You can eat it. You can get hydrated through hydrating foods. A lot of fruits and vegetables have a lot of water to them. And then obviously the other one is making not only the caffeine consumption, but that alcohol consumption. Those are diuretics and those are dehydrating you. So just ways to make sure that you keep getting that water in. And they have very nicely supplied you guys with some nice cold water over here, so I highly recommend that. What's the most common cause of stress in the United States? Is it your personal finances, your physical health, mental health, or social well-being? All of the above. Well, according to the American Psychological Association, personal finances are the most common stress-inducing factor for Americans. It makes sense, though, if we don't have the financial stability that we want or think that we need, it's hard to do all the other things. So even in our program, for our wellness program, we have a lot of education that we do around financial wellness, just talking to our members about different things like making sure they've got long-term planning in place. I know the question was asked, do you have beneficiaries? So a lot of you have already put all of this into place, but making sure that you are able to make the choices that you want while you're in this stage of life. Quitting smoking and using tobacco products is also obviously something that we want to do to help with our long-term wellness. I think for this population, it's interesting because if you are a smoker and you've been smoking your whole life, you might not have the desire to want to quit. But I wanted to show this anyway. Hopefully we don't have a lot of smokers out there. But even if you don't use tobacco in the form of cigarettes, there's all different kinds of forms of it, right? But this shows you at least how quickly things can change in your body when you quit smoking, so you can actually see the long-term effects of it. My thing is that I will say to you, if you are a smoker, is just think about your why of why you would want to quit and try to use that as your motivation. I think that there's all different ways to do it, and there's different things that are offered through your benefits programs. There are different things that are in the community that can help with it. It's just definitely something that we want to try to avoid. And if you aren't a smoker, don't start now. For next trivia, what do the effects of social isolation equate to? Is it drinking 5 alcoholic drinks a day, eating 2 fast food meals a day, not exercising, or smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day? There is a pattern to how these are on here, just so you know. Yeah, social isolation can equate to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day, basically meaning that loneliness has this far-reaching consequence across the entire impact of your health when it's compared to smoking cigarettes. So making sure, again, that social connection is so important, and making sure that you don't feel like you're in this alone, because obviously look around you, we're not in this alone, right? Limiting alcohol consumption is another health tip. It's recommended to have no more than 1 or fewer drinks per day due to possible links to increased mortality rates, and then there's different things you can try. I don't know if anybody has paid attention to restaurants lately, but a lot of them now have things that they either call non-alcoholic options or mocktails. There's a lot of things that you can try that will give you the same kind of taste and experience, just without the alcohol. And again, water's your best option. But making sure that you just kind of keep track of that, and that it shouldn't be something that you're doing every single day. So every time someone smokes or vapes, how many chemicals are released into their body and the air that others breathe? Is it 10,000, 7,000, 5,000, or 35,000, or 3,500, sorry. I hear the answer up front. It is B. Which I was shocked when I researched this one too. Over 69 of them are known to cause cancer. But when you're using those tobacco products, that's what's going out into the air. Or when you're vaping, that can be what's going out into the air. So getting screened and scheduling regular checkups. I know on our table we have information about your annual wellness visit or some screenings and different things, so I'm sure all the providers here have that. Just making sure that you are keeping track of that. You are being an advocate and making sure that you're going in, and when you meet with your provider, you're asking the simple question of, what kinds of screening should I be getting? Should I be concerned about X, Y, and Z? But just making sure you're getting those regular checkups and having those conversations. I heard something. Things you can do is making sure that you bring a list with you that not only has your current medications, but also any kind of questions that you might have. I know if you're anything like me, you go into that and you think, I already know I'm going to ask about, these 3 things, and then you get in there and you start talking about, my doctor will literally start asking me about something with my kids, and then I start talking about that, and then next thing you know, the appointment's over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to ask. Yes. 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 Taking the list in is what she's saying, yes. Also, knowing your family history. Believe it or not, providers are not mind readers, so they don't know. They can't look at you and say, oh, yeah, I can see that your father had diabetes, and your mother had heart disease, and your great-grandfather had this. And you have to know that, and you have to make sure that you go in and let them know that. That also helps them know if you need screenings more often, or if there's something that they should be looking at. Example, my father-in-law's father passed away from a stroke. And so he constantly, throughout a large section of the latter half of his life, he was having his carotid arteries checked on a regular basis. It's not something that they would just do normally, but because he had that family history, he was always getting checked for that. Making sure that you're keeping your immunizations up to date, flu vaccines, pneumonia, COVID-19, shingles, all the things we don't want to get, right? Making sure you're keeping those up to date. And making sure that you know kind of what that schedule looks like so that you stay on top of it as well. It's okay to ask a family or member or a friend to come along with you. Especially if, you're dealing with a chronic condition or you're concerned about different things. It's a lot of information that's coming at you probably in a short amount of time. And it's amazing if you even talk to each other after the appointment, what you heard versus what they heard. So it's always good to have somebody else there too to help kind of keep track of all of that. And it's okay to take notes and to tell your provider you need them to slow down just a little bit. Some people are really good about, doctors can be really good, or nurse practitioners, about sitting with you and spending time, and then others they're trying to get through all their patients, so they sometimes get swept up in that. It's okay to ask them to slow down. But I really do believe bringing someone with you sometimes can make a huge difference. Which of the following are beneficial in supporting your brain health? Is it things like puzzles, Sudoku, and trivia? Is it video games? My son would tell you it is. Is it watching television? Is it social media? Yes. Definitely. This is that brain health piece again, right? It's making sure that you're keeping yourself and your brain active. And puzzles could be the actual puzzle that's on a table. It can be different kinds of word scrambles or search and finds and all kinds of different things that you can do. I love puzzles. So I was just helping a friend of mine. Actually, she just bought a hot tub from somebody and was trying to get it moved and had to put this hot tub pad down, and it literally was like a big puzzle that you put together. And we got done with it, and she was like, "You did that really fast." I was like, "I loved it. It was like a puzzle." So it's just anything that is going to keep your mind going and figure out things that you enjoy. My dad's favorite thing was Sudoku, so he could sit there and the whole page would be filled with one, and he would still be able to do it. I don't know how he did that, but it was just the way his brain worked. But very important to keep your mind busy and to continue kind of pushing yourself. The other thing I would say is, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but hobbies that kind of push your cognitive ability, your brain functioning. Learning a new hobby or learning something new is definitely great for your brain health, because you're learning to think a different way. You're learning how to use something differently. And then taking medication as prescribed. It seems silly that I have to stand up here and say, take your medicine as you've been told to take it. But it happens, right? Medication adherence is really, really important. So making sure that you're not only taking what has been prescribed to you correctly, but then also reviewing those prescriptions that you're taking with your provider, especially if you're seeing multiple providers. They don't always talk to each other. So it's up to you to make sure they know what you're taking. Again, that's why it's important when you go to those visits to have your list and included in that what medications you're taking, so they can say, oh, these two should not be taken together, or you need to take this one in the morning and this one in the evening, different things like that. So making sure that you're really keeping up with that. You might also find out that there's something you're taking that you don't really need because you're taking something else instead for it, and it's the same medication, just a different name. But things to make sure with prescriptions, obviously you're taking them either to control your chronic conditions, you're temporarily treating something that's going on, maybe it's something that's good for your overall long-term health and wellness, but also making sure that you're staying on the right medications helps reduce those healthcare costs. Again, if you were taking something you don't need to take, that's something you wouldn't have to pay for. So you want to make sure that your providers understand what you're prescribed, who's prescribing it, why it's being prescribed, and make sure that everything's aligned. All right, so I just threw at you a lot of different things. On our back table with the UnitedHealthcare booth, thanks Nikki, she was leaving back there. There is a handout that has kind of everything highlighted. If you haven't picked that up, you can feel free to grab it. It's one thing to say, these are all the things you should do, and it's another thing to say, okay, well, how do I do it? So you really want to set SMART goals. So what does that mean? SMART goals mean that you are setting a goal that is specific, it is measurable, it's actionable, it's relevant, and it's timely. So when you're doing this, it's not saying, wow, I really need to lose weight, and that's your goal. A SMART goal would be something more like, I'm going to have 2 fruits and 3 vegetables every day. So that's more of a SMART goal because it's specific on what you're going to do, it's when you're going to do it, it's relevant to the fact that you're trying to eat a healthy diet, it's specific about it, and it's timely because you're doing it every day. It also doesn't mean that a SMART goal has to be something that you do every day. My thing is, that's the attainability part of it too, is that actionable or attainability is really important because you don't want to set a goal that you're like, oh, it's so lofty that I'm not going to be able to get it, so I just give up. So the truth is, setbacks are just going to be inevitable. We're not perfect, right? Everybody makes mistakes along the way, or we have a slip up. Again, I told you earlier that I believe everything in moderation, right? So I'll have days where I obviously don't eat the greatest, and then I try to make up for it on other days. Or like there's a special event coming up and you want to be able to enjoy it and that kind of thing. I also think that when you make SMART goals, think about where you are in whatever stage of life that you're in. I'm going to use this example of my grandmother because I don't think that there was ever a day that she didn't tell me she was on a diet. And she lived to be 98, almost 99 years old. But I'm like, I was actually telling my friend this the other day, I was like, I just don't want to be 98 years old and still saying I'm on a diet. Like, I feel like at that point you've earned the right to just enjoy your life, right? So maybe she should have had but I think maybe it was just her mindset always. She was always trying to watch what she was eating, but, and obviously I guess it worked out for her because she was almost 99 years old, but it's just, think about a goal that's going to have meaning to you for the stage of life that you're in. We don't all have to look the most amazing version of some supermodel that's walking the catwalk and whatever and try to attain that our whole life. It's embrace your body, take confidence in the fact that you are who you are, you have earned that right. And try to set goals that have a meaning to you, that are associated to something that's similar, like I was talking about with smoking, associated with that why. Why do you even want to set these kind of wellness goals? Why is it important for you? Is it because you want to be able to spend time with your family and your grandchildren and to be able to get on the floor and play with them? Maybe that's the reason you want to do it. Maybe it's that you want to be able to travel and do stuff with friends. It's just think about where you are and then make your goals kind of align with that. Don't try to just align with something because, well, I stood up here and I told you these are the 10 things that you need to do. You have to make choices that really pertain to your life. That's what makes something stick, and that's what makes it a healthy lifestyle behavior that you can maintain. When you try that, I'm telling you right now, again, I told you I'm training for this marathon. I will not be running 20 miles every weekend when the marathon is done. I have set a goal, I'm going to be done. But it's also but I also know I do enjoy running, so I'm going to keep running. I'm just not going to be doing that to my body every weekend. So just making sure that you're really taking that all into account when you're looking at it. So here's some examples. In terms of mental health, it could be something like I will practice diaphragmatic breathing, deep breathing for 5 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before going to bed. So it's literally, I'm gonna just sit with my hand on my diaphragm and make sure that when I breathe, it's going out and coming back in. And I'm just gonna do that for 5 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before going to bed. So again, can you see that they are specific, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's relevant, and it's timely. For nutrition, it might be something like, I will include 1 serving of fruit and 1 serving of vegetables with my dinner each night. Again, these are not huge goals, right? These are little small attainable things. Physical fitness might be, I will walk for 30 minutes on Tuesday and Thursday at noon with my neighbor. Again, there's that built-in accountability too, because your neighbor and you can keep you accountable. Social well-being, it might be, I'm going to call my friend or my family member on Sunday at 4 p.m. to check in on them and to hear about highlights from their week. Again, my father-in-law was great about this. He and his sister always connected every single Sunday at a certain time, and they would just kind of go back and forth about, here's what's going on our side of things, here's what's happening on your side of things, like where can we connect. Just having those kind of like established times that work well for your schedule. So hopefully this doesn't seem like it's overwhelming. The other thing I will say about a SMART goal is it's okay to have that high, lofty goal that's like pie in the sky. At my absolute best self, this is what I would look like. But you have to have everything else to get there. So you can't just skip from the ground floor up to the penthouse without either getting on an elevator that's going to take you up or taking the steps to get there. So just make sure you're making those smaller steps along the way. And then the other thing I would say is celebrate every success that you have. Whatever that looks like for you. It's those little moments where you can just be like, wow, I did a really good job, or even letting somebody else know, like, hey, I just accomplished my goal for this week, and they might be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you're like, yeah, tell me I'm great, or whatever. I mean, it's just, you need to make sure that you celebrate your successes along the way, because that's what's going to help keep you motivated too. So, and letting other people know what your goals are, because they can also check in on you. It's always nice when you have somebody who has been, that you're close to, that can say like, hey, I remember you said you were going to walk every Tuesday and Thursday. How's that been going? I do that with my mother-in-law every week. So she walks with a neighbor, and we always ask, like, well, how did it go? How far did you guys walk this week? What did you guys talk about? Like different things like that. So it's always really helpful.